Hi, this is Steve Wagner with a brief video overview of your best practices in organizational behavior group project. Now, this project is described in the assignment that I have posted in the assignment section of Blackboard in the best practices folder. It's also in your group's file exchange area. And so please read over that assignment carefully. I'm just here to give you some highlights on what's written in the assignment. So basically what you're going to do is investigate a function or topic that's been assigned to you and prepare a presentation and a paper that describe best practices with regard to this function. So if you go in your group area, at the very top of that group area for the best practices group, you will see the topic identified there. You can begin your investigation with an examination of the textbook. So go to the index or go to the table of contents, and there you can get a general idea of what this topic is about. You might even find some initial sources, but I'm expecting that your paper and presentation will largely be based on outside research of other books, case studies, journal articles. You could look at high-quality websites. All of those things should really be at the heart of where you identify evidence of best practices. And so your presentation and your paper should address the practical implications for managing your focal topic. And you should look at this within a contemporary global organization. You don't have to use a real organization or even make up an organization. The presentation and the paper should address organizations in general, but they should be organizations working in a global context. So the outcomes, the deliverables of this project are twofold. One is a white paper, and that's basically a research paper that will be used to document the best practices and the evidence that support those best practices. The paper should be 23 to 25 pages in length, double-spaced. It should include a cover page, executive summary, a body, and references. You should use 12-point font, 1-inch margins, and it should be an APA style with regard to how you do citations in the body of the paper and how you type out and format the references to those citations. So that's really the main thing I'm concerned about with APA style, is the citations and the references. If you look in the assignments area of Blackboard, I do have a website link to help you with APA style for citations and references. So in addition to the white paper, you will be giving an oral presentation as a group, and so you'll develop a PowerPoint that largely parallels what you've written in the white paper. Again, it should be a good PowerPoint. I don't want you to just cut and paste paragraphs and sentences from your paper. It should be bullet points. You can use graphics. You will be presenting that in Blackboard Collaborate, which is the video teleconferencing software that we use in this class. And that's why you need a web camera and microphone, because you're going to do this presentation, and we'll also be meeting a couple times before the presentation to make sure you're on the right path. For the presentation, I'm expecting that each group member will present an equal amount of time and that each person should do at least 10 minutes. Now, if you're curious how I'm going to evaluate the project, you should look at the syllabus. Like all assignments, I have a rubric in the syllabus that describes how I grade. And so if you look there, you'll see that I'm evaluating it and how you describe the best practices and the evidence that support them, whether you're addressing practical implications of these functions for a contemporary global organization. You should also work to integrate your paper and your PowerPoint so it looks like a cohesive whole. If it looks like you're just cutting and pasting together 4 separate parts and they don't fit together well, that on that dimension you'll be graded lower. You'll be evaluating your own teamwork and the teamwork of all of your peers. And there is an evaluation form up in the assignments area of Blackboard. And so there's multiple dimensions that you'll be evaluating. And the evaluations will be a large part of your grade on this project. And they are due after your final presentation. And of course, I'll be looking at grammar and syntax. Now, if you look on the assignments section of Blackboard for this assignment, or if you look in your file exchange and look at this assignment, you will see that I have a basic timeline for how you should be approaching this project. And so last week you were supposed to review the assignment and get to know your group members in your group's discussion board. This week you should be developing a plan for your project with your group. And so it should talk about your group's goals, how you're going to work together, and have a specific project timeline. So some things you can include in your project plan are, what are the specific roles that individuals are going to play in this? So who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the scribe and take notes during meetings that you have? Who's going to edit the paper and bring together all the different sections in a way that makes it cohesive? Who's going to edit the PowerPoint and make sure that everybody's parts look good? Those are roles that you might specify. I'm not going to tell you exactly the roles that you should have. That's something you can work out as a group, but those are example roles. I do expect that everybody will independently do research and contribute a portion of that paper. And so regardless of your role, whether you're an editor or a leader or a scribe, you should be contributing a portion of the paper, a portion of the presentation. Your plan should also include a project timeline. I've given you a basic timeline here, but you can add to that and should add to that. So I recommend that you have regular meetings with each other. You can specify the meetings that you'd like to have with me. You should look at the deadlines and then have other deadlines that you set for yourself so you have time to do some peer review of the paper and the PowerPoint and so forth. Your plan should talk about communication tactics. How are you going to communicate with one another? Have you exchanged phone numbers? That's often a good idea because that's a quick way to talk to each other in real time. You can text each other. If you have alternative emails besides the governor's state, you should share those. You should talk about times that are good for you to communicate with one another. And finally, in your project plan, you should get together a preliminary outline. So based on what you've read in the book on this topic, what do you think the major sections of the paper will be, and who's going to cover each one of those sections? Now, going forward on the milestones, you will have periodic meetings with me. The first I would like to have with you is next week, and we'll meet on Blackboard Collaborate and go over your project plan. And then a few weeks later, I'd like to meet with you again to see how you're doing on your project, see if there are any last-minute questions before you get into the home stretch. The white paper and the PowerPoint slides are due on July 14th, and you should submit them by posting them in your group's file exchange area with the words final in the file names. And then during the last week of class, you will meet with me to deliver your final presentation as a group, and then after you do that, you can submit your teamwork ratings. So this gives you an overview of the project. If you do have questions, please contact me either by email or phone or the course questions discussion board. I will be looking forward to meeting with your groups next week, And so please get together and identify some times and email me so you can get on my schedule.